so fast. Because if you have something, you need to have a way to protect it. So it's all done by the cybersecurity. We can activate this forum and networks, empowering the people here, especially our Kurds, to the citizen diplomats in online. We can create some strategy context multilingual, not only Kurdish to English or Arabic. We can have more languages, more languages that people talk, like, for example, for Spain, maybe. Thank you so much. It was, again, a great honor to be with you all. Me having nothing like, not a good experience, not a good information, but among all these professors was a very nice experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Dr. Mahdi, you will be second.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, before you will start.
Okay.
Slowly. I have to introduce you. So you will start with our participant. Don't know who you are.
It will be great if you do so. Thank you.
Okay. I will do my best. So I will just start. What kind of quote reminds me closer to your dedication and your work is just justice and knowledge are the foundation of a strong society and the person. So these words exactly resonate with your job and your work and the education, the government, and because you have a lot of responsibilities and you are doing institutional development. So our next speaker, you are witnessing him, is Dr. Mahdi Sheikh Karyani. He's academic and legal professional specialized in the law, governance, and legal education. His work focuses on, international relations, such a kind of different field of law, and the government frameworks within the Iraqi and Kurdistan region governmental legal system. So his academic and professional engagement contributes to the development of the legal awareness. Please join me. We warm welcome to the Dr. Mahdi. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Christine. It was very kind of you. I'm really honored and pleased to be among all of you. Actually, it's a great pleasure to have a chance to be with you today. Education diplomacy is a new, is a brand of diplomacy as well. Many countries, especially UK, China, Europe, they try their best to do the exchange of students all around the globe in order to get new skills, new knowledge, and in order to have a cultural diplomacy. As you know, students of today, leaders of tomorrow. So education diplomacy is very important. We can say that the use of education for diplomacy, such as universities, scholarships, academic exchange, research partnerships, all these things, and cultural learning programs, these are all belong to educational diplomacy. The subject is very important. I'm not telling that it's a significant subject because we are working in this field. I'm telling you this because we all have many examples about that. The King of Jordan was a student in London, if I'm not mistaken, in the UK or in the US. And we have a Prince of Kurdistan. He just graduated in the UK. The Prime Minister of Kurdistan graduated in the USA. So many other examples that we have. So in order to have a clear vision about a country, especially if this country is your allies, the best way is to exchange students with this country. So once you exchange your students between these countries, you will have a very clear vision and knowledge about what is the culture of this country. And in order to have a very strong... Yes.
I interrupted you. Mr. Sarhang also obtained the MSc and PhD in French
in France. So this is our president. Also, we have example that he graduated in Paris, if I'm not mistaken. So this exchange of leadership. So he is trying very hard to apply the developments that he saw in France, to apply them in Erbil, in Kurdistan. These examples are very important. This exchange of cultural learning is very important. It's one of the types of diplomacy. So when they became a diplomat, they became a minister, they became, for example, a foreign minister, they know how to deal with the European countries and with the other countries. In case of allies, in case of enemies, for example, a country who you have a conflict with, it's very important to know about their culture, their background, their strengthening point and the weakness point. So in all cases, exchanging students between universities is very important. It's something that we can call as very significant for promoting the relationship between countries. I can mention some goals that they are really important for education diplomacy. First one, improving international relations. If I talk about myself, for example, as an example, I studied in London. Still, I have a very strong connection with scholars, professors, with some governmental departments in London. Once in my country there is something we need to do, they will send me there because I have the knowledge and background, the idea, information. I know how they act, I know how they behave, I know what kind of attitude is good when I am with them. Although it's very obvious for all of you that we need to work through the protocols that it's written and it's there for international worldwide, but sometimes a specific idea about a place, a city or a country is very important to know. So building a mutual understanding between cultures. These cultures are very important if you build a mutual understanding, and then we can build a mutual beneficiary for both countries. For example, if I want something from the UK, I need to do it I need to ask it in a way that it will be beneficial for them before having beneficial for my country. As you know, we live in a world right now it's full of conflicts, tensions, even war. The best example is now Israel, USA, and Iran. As the Middle East and MENA countries, we are all affected by these conflicts, economically, mentally, in a very, they disrupted peace in this Middle East. If you go back to the root of this question, to the root of these problems, you can see that it's some of them related to the economic issues, and some of them are ideological issues. Some of them are countries wants to potentially protect their people from not having, from not letting an enemy country have a nuclear weapon. So afraid of using it to destroy their nations. They have right, all of them. So the conflict starts when you have a different ideology. The conflict starts when you have a different mutual understanding. The conflict starts when you have different ideas about how the peacemakers work. So the main job of United Nations, as you all know, is maintain peace and security. Unfortunately, United Nations couldn't do these two jobs in a very easy way. He faces a lot of problems. Maybe it's about the structure, maybe the structure of UN when one country in these five, US, UK, Russia, France, and UK, US, Russia, France, who was the five member of the United Nations. So one of them, when they use a veto, United Nations cannot do anything about it. So he couldn't stop the war in Gaza, in Palestine. They couldn't stop a war in the Iran and USA. So these problems still exist. While the problem, the tension, the issue in the world exists, we need a diplomacy in a very strong way. We need to teach our students, we need to teach our people, diplomats, to use soft power, to try to find the commonalities among all these problems that we have in the Middle East. Especially I'm talking about Middle East because as long as I remember, I got 44, my age. As long as I remember, we live in the war, tensions, problems, economic crisis. Whatever happens is it's all about war, conflicts, and we live it in these kind of situations always. So the diplomacy is the best solution. Diplomacy is the best way to avoid war, is the best way to prevent a war, but for that we need a very good diplomats. We need a diplomats that they believe in human rights. We need a diplomats that they believe in the peace and security for all. This is what we need. So another goal of education diplomacy is promoting peace and cooperation between nations, between countries. This is what education diplomacy wants to do, extending scientific and academic collaborations. Through the collaboration, promoting between, for example, two universities, the student, when you send them abroad, it's like a bird. When you send somewhere else, they became in love with this country. For example, if I talk about myself, every year I go back to the UK. I just miss it. At the beginning, when I started my study in the UK, I've got a homesick. It was very hard for me first month. Then I adapted to their culture. I found new friends, and then I loved London, and it's not for me, for all the students. It was very nice. Then when I go to the UK, I miss Erbil. When I come back to the Erbil, I miss UK. I would like to visit every year and see the cafes, restaurants, the places that I have been there before. So this makes you love the other countries, makes you love the people of this country. So you never do bad for this country. You never do something wrong with the people of this country. This is what student exchange is important for. Also, we have another example of improving and promoting diplomacy is international academic conferences and educational partnerships. Like the one now Krtistine does is very important, really. So she gathered most of us in a different countries, different background, different ideology, different ethnics, to talk about peace and security, to talk about diplomacy and mediation, how we can provide, how we can help support peace and diplomacy everywhere, how we can negotiate, how we can build a trust and a good path towards the future. This is what diplomacy needs. This is what policymakers need to put in their agendas. So, how countries can use educational diplomacy? For example, countries often invite foreign students to study at their university, at their country, and when they graduate, they became either diplomats, ministers, business leaders. Also, they became academics or policymakers. So these are mutual beneficiary for all countries. If I am not mistaken, we have thousands of students they studied abroad in the UK, US, in all other countries. Also, we have diplomat and educational protocol course in the Korea. China nowadays, because they are trying to build an initiative with the Silk Road. So those countries who became on the border of Silk Road, they invite employees and scholars and students to go to their countries to study about these improvements that China have. So they, for example, I have been in China twice. Once delegated by the Ministry of Interior, and the other one I have been invited by the Consul, His Excellency Consul General of China. I had a different background and ideology and thinking about China. But when I visited there, when I see the people of China, because we hear from the news and from the other side that China is aggressive and they are trying to take over the world economically and blah, blah. But once I got there, personally, I saw the people, I saw their institutions, I saw their public sector. We met with the officials. We knew that they just want to improve their country. They are not against any other countries. So just by going there twice, my mind and my thinking, my idea changed about China in a very good way, in a very positive way. Same thing with the Europe, with Germany, with Korea, all these countries. Once you visit, you see something very beautiful in their culture. You love the people, you love the country. And then once you became an official, governmental official or a diplomat to these countries, you never do something that harm these beautiful people. You never do that. You will always try to find a way to support them. So I don't want to take long. I think I have a few minutes left. So we can say that using education to create international friendship, influence, cooperation, and long-term partnership. It's a simple, very simple definition of education diplomacy. Also, I would like to add one more point, and then I will ask my colleague, Dr. Huner, to talk about his subject. One more point is very important in diplomacy and mediation, which is we need to follow the rules that we have. There are united protocol rules for diplomacy, and there are, in each countries, they have a different habit and background. So when you are delegated to a country, before going there, you need to know how to act with them. You need to know how to wear your clothes in this country. You need to respect their traditional clothes, foods, eating, and everything. And you need to know when you start talking and when you start listening. It's very important to listen more. It's very important to be specific once you answer their questions. It's very important to find commonalities among all the issues and different ideologies and different problems that we already have in this world, unfortunately. So let's do these kind of forums. Let's make it more developed. Let's do a conference. Let's try our best to maintain peace and diplomacy everywhere. Thank you for your attention. We will take Dr. Huner, and then after that, if you have any questions for the three of us, feel free to ask. Yes, Dr. Huner, the floor is yours.
You can hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Mahdi, and thank you, Krtistine, for this opportunity to talking about this important. It's really a very important thing nowadays about diplomacy and mediation and education. So this, first of all, I'm Dr. Hunar, plastic surgeon. I have board certified. I'm board certified in plastic surgery. I have Egyptian fellowship. That means I study abroad. And as Dr. Mahdi talk about studying abroad and the diplomacy of education is very, very important. Really, I have very benefit in this opportunity that I have in Egypt and learning something that I don't learn if I don't go to Egypt and saw these things. As the first looking, someone may say, why a plastic surgeon and talking about the thing like diplomacy and mediation and education, but the surgery, it's not all about the aesthetic, it's about the reconstruction and the burn and congenital anomaly treating. And when we talk about the organization that arranging this meeting, it's international organization of the lawyers. So the connection between the medicine and the surgery and this organization is very deeply connected. So it's about the law and diplomacy and medicine and the health of the people. So as my experience in the field of the surgery and dealing with the reconstruction and burning and most of the dealing of treating of the drug dealers and making the law issues in this field, I see that diplomacy in this field is very, very important in building bridges and advancing dialogues and empowering education in this field. In Iraq, and as I'm in Erbil in Kurdistan, we saw very challenges and we saw very bad things happen in this area, like wars, like we have too many injured person, too many persons having disabilities, and all of these need to be treated, to be preparing for the community and to have his life and his dignity and to become prepared to have education and looking forward. So at this situation, we all need to connect between the reconstructive surgery and making a way of building bridges for diplomacy between all the nations. The dealing with the injured person is not only on this person or on this family, and it's not only deal with the doctors. It is a worldwide issue. So making an organization that containing many doctors from everywhere in the world, like in America and Iraq and Egypt and anywhere, it's very, very important thing, and it is a very diplomatical way to be the beginning of making bridge of diplomacy between all the nations. So, and this situation, it is very, very important when a person that have a problem in Iraq that will be treated in another country, anytime it will become a good diplomatic way and making a good bridge between these nations and these countries. And I feel and I saw this thing when I treat many patients in other areas and in other cities in the Iraq freely, like in Bayam and in congenital Omani. Most of them, they have bad wounds or bad disease that causes too much money that the person can't afford it, and we do it for free. It will become a very, very good way to make a bridge between the doctor and the patient. In another way, when there's another international community or international forum for that, it will become very, very important. And this situation, we need two things. The first thing is a diplomacy between the nations and the digital way to connect between these doctors and the lawyers all over the world, because the issue of the surgery is not just a medicine. Really, it is a medical, surgical, and legal issue, because all of these are connected together. And Dr. Mahdi really have so many experience in this field, as he did with me, because really the plastic surgery is a very, very important thing in this time that everyone needed, not as an aesthetic, really, sometimes for persons to go inside the community and inside the society. Some persons, they have so damaged facial problem that he cannot go to meet persons and to go to study. When we do this treatment, it will become a very, very important thing in his life. So about the medical issue, it's obvious that everyone in the world that need treatment or need an important treatment in the case of disaster like a war or a burn or something like that, it need a medical assistance from anywhere from the world. It's not only local issue. This diplomacy, this committee or this group of the surgeons and the lawyers, it will become very, very important for everyone in the world. Sometimes the burn or sometimes the disaster occur in a place, the country can't afford it. So another country will help this country. So why we get this upon the countries? Why we don't have another community and a digital network between all the doctors and all the lawyers in the worldwide countries to manage this situation? And in the medical and educational, preventing legal conflicts is a very important thing, as we know that the plastic surgery, as we know the medicine, not only the surgery, and the medicine, in the most of the countries now become a business part. So sometimes there will be two very important issues will face the patients and the surgeons, that most of the centers or the clinics sometimes running by not certified or a fake persons that may harm the patients and harm the society and the doctors also. So making legal and medical organization will help to minimize this problem that, and this time we see that the diplomacy and the education and the digitalizing this issue is very, very important, because sometimes one person and one group cannot stand for this big issue. And mostly in our country, maybe as I see, and also in Egypt, and also I see in Turkey, and also in many countries, I see that this is a problem, and there is no any other organization or any connection found to stand for this problem. And it's not a simple problem. It is a very big problem, because in the future this become like the drug dealers. So for just making money, there will be like an organization for doing wrong things and making a problem for the society. And also this legislations and medical prevention can also, by doing seminars and conferences everywhere in the world for education and to make a standardized form of studying in the field of the studying, either in plastic surgery, in medicines, in every branch of education that becomes standardized and strict form, not everywhere making a standard for him on studying something like become the strict, unique and unite form of studying of all branches. We're talking about big issues, really. The globalized problem is it's not a personal or country or regional problems, like as I deal sometimes with some patients in the disaster or in the somehow as my job in drug dealers. So those persons now cannot be treated in a localized way. Must be there be a digital learning and a standard way of learning and globalizing the system of education in this field. So empowering medical education and enforcing the standardization is very, very important thing that need a global organization. As I said, most of the illegal issues are not a personal issue, are not a randomized issue. Most of them are powered by persons have power or money or maybe a political background. So the simple persons or the patients or the doctors cannot fight in this country. Yeah, the person in his country sometimes cannot face these problems. So the diplomatic way of collecting persons in the same region or the same area of the field of the work, it is very, very important thing. It is not just by talking about the diplomacy as something dramatic or imagination. It is really an important thing nowadays in the world because of the globalization that occurs. Everyone now can connect from anyone, anywhere in the world. So the missing thing is that organizing the persons, not a problem now. I can't talk with a person in America, in the UK, and anywhere in the world is not a problem. The problem of the collecting, like Krtistine and Dr. Mahdi now collecting us in this group, it's a very important thing. It is need effort, it need time, it need many things, but at the end, it become beginning of something great. So everyone now have information, especially the specialized person in the field. But how we can make this helping the community, helping the country, helping our friends in other branches to managing the problem. Talking about the problem is not solving the problem. How we treating the problem is very important. So it need effort, it need time, it need sometimes it need money, it need anything, but at the end will become a very good and a very fruitful thing. So we talk about the empowering medical education or empowering education. The standardizing form of the education is very, very important. When we talk about the law, there is something that is standardized for studying law in every country. And when we talk about the like plastic surgery, as I study in another country, well, not my country, which is Iraq. I studied a doctorate or the board of fellowship in Egypt. So what I see in Egypt, that the law of working in this field is like that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I go to Turkey and work sometime there, and the law is same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I go to Jordan and to Iran and to other, so there is a law specific form of studying, because this is a specific branch. When I come to Iraq, I see something different. I think that I see that there is wrong things happen. How I treat this, it's not upon to me and I go to treat this. I must have these three things that you mentioned, which is diplomacy, meditation, and education, and digitalization, as my friend talked about. So by this way, we must have a standardized way to studying and to preventing happening problems in the future. So at the end, I will want to end my talk about this, to thinking about making the diplomacy is the way to treating things in the future, not by treating things as a single simple things, no. Because for the globalization and international ways and presenting of many social ways to connection, the time is now very, very good to making globalized organizations in every way, in every simple branches and ways of education. Thank you, everyone. And if anyone have question on my talking,
thank you, dear doctor. Thank you for your valuable words. Now I would ask Krtistine to take the QA, because you know everyone here, you know the names, and until we do later, then we will do this. So now the floor is yours. If anyone has a question about the three of us, Ms. Sana, Dr. Huner, and Dr. Mehdi, please feel free to ask. Ms. Krtistine, please, you take the...
Thank you very much, Dr. Mehdi. Thank you very much, Dr. Huner. It was really insightful. The medicine, the diplomatic medicine, the sphere is this niche is just under development, and actually we will speak about that more and more in our future conferences and the forums. And we will investigate how we can cooperate the lawyers, diplomats, peacemakers, and the government representatives, policymakers, and help the doctors, and I think like versa. Yes, because they will help us, we will help them. So I will have the question from dear professor from Peru, Freddy, please. You have a question?
Yes, thank you very much for giving me the floor. I want to thank the university to IAMPE by this invitation. And it's very interesting, and I congratulate Dr. Mahdi, Professor Mahdi, by his presentation. Really very nice, very good, very interesting. I have understood that in East Asia, especially in Korea and China, they are giving a very good experience on mediation for the new generations. But I want to ask him about Europe. What's happening with the piece of culture in Europe and the other countries around the world? I came from Latin America, but I am from Japanese ancestry. My grandparents came since Japan. I have lived in Japan too. And I can see that if the leaders don't show the peace culture in his or her daily activities, that war means nothing, because the example of every day, the culture that we show every day, is the most important route for the peace culture. Because if you speak only, give good speeches around the globe by everywhere, as the United States leaders or Israel leaders who speaks about peace but don't practice peace, we can see that there is a vacuum. We are speaking only for the air. We are not speaking for the form and create new societies of peace. And by that I see that China is doing something very correct, because its society is showing the peace in theory and practice. Korea maybe in some way is doing the same too. But I want to ask you about Europe. About Europe, is Europe doing something about this in peace culture? And there is a good relationship between the leadership of Europeans and the peace culture with young societies. In the United States, what's happening? There is something of similarity between peace culture for the young generations and the attitude and good example of the government. That is my question. And once again, congratulations, Dr. Mahdi.
Thank you, Mr. Freddy. I will answer your question, but before that, let's go to Dr. Sarhang. He's raising his hand. And thank you for the very important question. I forget to talk about Europe, and I have experience, and I'll talk about it now. Let's, Dr. Sarhang, please, if you have anything to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think every one of you think about my point. You know, it is very, very important mediation in diplomacy. So my question it is, what is the main programs we make good actors for how to be a good mediator in diplomacy? You know, it is very, very important if we have diplomacy and we have education about that, and all the student or everybody take this information about diplomacy in education. So what is the main point or main good programs we make for a good mediator? How to be a good mediator or actors to for future or for nowadays, for everything. If you look at in Middle East, we need some actors, role of actors in diplomacy and in mediation in diplomacy. So I think it is very, very important. Without we have government or any policy, what is the main programs we make to be a good mediators and to be a good actors in diplomacy? Thank you.
Thank you, dear doctor. And I will answer Mr. Freddy, and Christine, you will answer Dr. Sarhang. As you have expertise in mediation, so you will answer him. The question about the diplomacy in Europe, it was really good question. Thank you for that. I forget to talk about this part. I have been delegated to Germany as a representative of Ministry of Interior. Once we get to Germany, they were at the airport, and then we went to the hotel. They gave me an agenda for the meeting. It was 3 days meeting. They gave me the agenda, how we start, and then the lady who was in charge of the protocol, she asked me. She said, "Doctor, do you know how we can we go to the meeting room? We need to wear formal and this stuff, and for the breakfast, what's your cultural food you like to be added in the menu? And then after meeting, we will have lunch together. What kind of food do you like? And is it possible that we put wine, champagne, and this stuff for the dinner, or it's not allowed by your side? And what kind of meat is allowed to be eaten? What kinds not allowed? Please tell me something about your culture, how we greet you in the beginning, and how we can do like that." So we have a 30-minute chat. We spoke in the lobby of the hotel. We talked about each other's culture in order to understand what's on us to say there and what they expect from us. And then she told me many important things, that once you have a demand in a very diplomatic way, how to ask for it. And then once they have a demand, if we don't have answer for it, what we should do, what we should say. German, they are very well organized. They really care about this stuff, and this is for all Europe. Also, we had another delegation to Italy. I met with the Ministry of Interior of Italy, and then he asked me. He said, "I would like to come to Kurdistan, and I would like to meet Prime Minister of Kurdistan." I said, "Now I can say yes for you to be delivered by the Ministry of Interior. He will come to the airport to deliver, to meet you in person. I can say that he will be available for you. He will meet you. But for Prime Minister, I need to check and then get back to you." He said, "Take your time. How many days you are here?" I said, 3. We were 4 people. And then after that, I spoke with the Ministry of Interior of Kurdistan. I said, the Minister of Interior, they call it Carabinieri. They want to meet with the Prime Minister. At that time, Prime Minister of Kurdistan was Mr. Nechirvan Barzani. Now he is the President of Kurdistan. And then the Minister of Interior told me, "Okay, I will get back to you in 1 or 2 hours." And then he answered, he said, "Yes, we will warmly welcome him, and he can meet me and the Prime Minister." So the day after, when we met him, I gave him the answer that yes, definitely he is very welcome to Kurdistan, and he will be received by Prime Minister of Kurdistan. He will meet him at his office. So they ask for it in a very polite, nice way. And also, I asked him, I said, "Sir, can I have the idea of your visit. Is it just a friendship visit, cultural visit, or is it a political way? So he gave me a letter. It was, I mean, I can't share it with you now, but I gave them back to Kurdistan. I bring them back to Kurdistan. I gave them to the authorities, and then he came. We received him as we planned for. So Europe, they are very organized. They are very organized in a protocol. They are very organized, even like sitting, they ask for who is higher rank, they will put you in a position and they put names with that. One of our delegates at the first day, his name is General Harish, he was with us. He told them, where is the flag of Kurdistan? They put Iraqi flag on the table. And he said, where is the flag of Kurdistan? If the tomorrow's meeting is the same, I can't see the flag, I will leave the room. I won't be attending this meeting room. They apologized, and during the meeting, they brought another flag. They put it with the Iraqi flag. So they put Iraqi and Kurdistan regional flag together. So they would like to know about our culture, like Europe in general. They would like to know about it before going to any meetings, any official meetings. These two situations were my experience personally. I saw this and I liked it really. They are very respectful and they follow specific procedures and rules in regards of protocol. Thank you for the question. Ms. Krtistine, the question of President of Bayan University, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. I will just answer because it's my topic, and I'm doing it. In generally, will not go specific. We can share after, but in general, we believe that the development of the diplomatic mediation or mediation diplomacy should begin through the regional education first, and gradually expand to the global level. It can't come from the global level to the region. We are starting region by region, and we are expanding to the global. The first step is building the strong academic institutional foundations. Exactly what we want to start from. The detailed education programs, which we have, our organization, the professional trainings, starting from short, expanding to the 100 is huge, to maybe in MA, the practical simulations, the research centers, they are what we call the training, the professional diplomatic training labs, and the cooperation between universities, because it can't be only based on one university. When you are starting from one university, you have to connect another one, because we have to connect the whole region. And the government itself, international organizations like actors, we are the public actors, NGOs, and the diplomatic mediation cannot develop only theoretically. As we are working, for us it's important practical aspects. It requires the systematic study and their cultural practice and real dialogue platforms. You're not just simulating something, you're bringing real cases and try to investigate how you can solve with the students. At the regional level, it's important to divide, like unite universities, as I said, open some centers, exactly professional labs, include some policy members, diplomats. Why? I truly believe that we need to train in government representatives as well. This is important. And the civil society's actors, because everything starts, it's hierarchy, so we move not from, ground, we have to start from, because they have to be our teachers, not we. And they create the regional forums, trainings, what we are doing now. They will develop the educational standards, adapting the culture and geopolitical realities. And also we need to encourage youth participation. This is absolutely like we are doing it with IMDC. Actually, we are encouraging them training them to step on this mediation diplomacy path and to do professional exchanges. At the global level, I would like to focus on the international academic partnership. When we are fixing on one region or one country, and it can be fixed strongly, then after that, you are uniting and with academic partnership, expanding yourself slowly, globally. It can be done, let's say, for example, Iraq, and after we can move to the neighborhoods, and after we move, it's the Middle East. And the Middle East will connect with Europe. Europe will connect Caucasus. Caucasus will connect Asia. And so it's move on and move on. And it's what it's doing in defining ethical and educational frameworks. Because each of the students in your university as well, they have their own psychological, ethical backgrounds, and they will bring something on the table. Of course, without AI, and Ms. Sana, I would like to say thank you. Just you mentioned about the digital diplomacy. Without mediation diplomacy is coming across one by one with a line with digital diplomacy, with environmental diplomacy, everything is working together. So AI and digital diplomacy is crucial, and I think coordination with the organizations, public actors. From my perspective, I will just the future of diplomatic mediation, it depends on the long-term educational investment. It is investment. And it's really will be really good investment. Why? Well, maybe in 5 years, even in 1 year, you can see the results. And it's like interdisciplinary collaborations. And so mediator diplomats as a speciality, which will be capable work and represent each of the country. We don't need to find some diplomats who have to study a lot, or maybe we're not so much having in the regional, the small countries, so much diplomats who is capable to work as a mediator. So I do believe I answered it on your question.
Thank you, Krtistine. Ask if they have any other questions.
If someone have a question, if not, we will just smoothly move to second the speaker, and I don't see any questions, so we can move. Even though we will have it, I will just at the end I will ask. Thank you very much, Ms. President, for your question. So the second speaker, I will just start with Spanish language, and I will say, donde dignidad nace la esperanza. These words reflect the importance of the humanity, justice, social responsibility, and protecting vulnerability as a communities and promoting the human rights. I think closer, somebody will know that Dr. Araceli Perez Sanchez, she will understand that I exactly want to honor and introduce her as the next speaker. Human rights advocate, the conflict resolution specialist with extensive experience in mediation, arbitration, negotiation, facilitation, protection of the gender communities. She is an expert in the indigenous law, and particularly he is the ambassador of IAMPE in Latin America, and he is protecting children affected by abuse in Ecuador. She is the founder of educacion and Fundación Sol de Esperanza. She is actually working in the field of the human rights, women's rights, and previously, as I know, she has been the women in army. I don't know her regalias exactly the more, if she is a captain or mayor, but please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Araceli Perez Sanchez from Ecuador. Hola, Araceli.
Hola, muy buenos días. Good morning. Muchas gracias siempre la acogida y la presentación, que querida Krtistine. Permítame compartir pantalla, por favor.
Yes. Yes, I see Juan Fernando. Yeah. Hola, I think you have a permission, you can share.
Juan Fernando, presente la presentación.
Yes.
Yes.
Ok, para iniciar, la gestión del conflicto no define únicamente la calidad de nuestras decisiones, sino la civilización de nuestras sociedades. En un mundo de conflictos donde los conflictos son inevitables, la diferencia entre la ruptura y la paz es la ausencia del problema, sino la calidad de la herramienta con la que decidimos enfrentarlo.
The conflict management defines not only the quality of our decisions, but also the level of civilization of our societies. In a world where conflicts are inevitable, the difference between rupture and peace lies not in the absence of the problem, but in the quality of the tools we use to address it.
Presidente. Es un honor compartir este espacio académico. Agradezco la invitación y a la organización IAMPE y a la Universidad Bayam para reflexionar sobre un tema fundamental. Este es la construcción de sociedades más justas y pacíficas. Las herramientas académicas en la mediación. La mediación, lejos de ser una técnica alternativa de resolución de conflictos, constituye hoy una disciplina compleja que integra directamente elementos jurídicos, psicológicos, emocionales y comunicacionales. También por ello el mediador moderno no solo necesita habilidades y prácticas, sino también una sólida base académica que permite intervenir de manera estratégica y efectiva.
It's an honor to share this academic space. I think that IAMPE organization and Bayan University for the invitation to reflect on a fundamental topic in the construction of more and just peaceful societies, strategic academic tools in mediation. Mediation, far from being merely an alternative conflict resolution technique, is today a complex discipline that integrates legal, psychological, communicational, and social elements. For this reason, the modern mediator needs not only practical skills, but also a solid academic foundation that enables them to intervene strategically, ethically, and effectively.
Hablar de mediación y diplomacia en el siglo XXI implica comprender que ya no basta directamente la impresión o la experiencia empírica. Hoy la resolución de conflictos exige directamente un tema del rigor académico, el pensamiento estratégico y sobre todo una integración efectiva de las herramientas metodológicas y tecnológicas.
Discussing mediation and diplomacy in the 21st century requires an understanding the intuition and of empirical experience alone is not longer sufficient. Today, the conflict resolution demands academic rigor, strategic thinking, and the effective integration of methodological and technological tools.
La mediación como un método alternativo de resolución de conflictos y sobre todo la diplomacia como un mecanismo de gestión y relaciones entre actores estatales y no estatales. Comprenden en sí un elemento central que ambas buscan transformar las tensiones en oportunidades de entendimiento.
Mediation is an alternative method of conflict resolution, and diplomacy is a mechanism for management relations between actors, both state and non-state. It share a central element. Both seek transform tensions to opportunities for understanding ourselves.
La mediación, lejos de no ser solamente una técnica alternativa de resolución de conflictos, hoy constituye directamente una disciplina compleja que integra elementos jurídicos, psicológicos, comunicacionales y sociales.
The mediation, far from being merely an alternative conflict resolution technique, is today a complex discipline that integrates legal, psychological, and social elements for an effective communication and effective peace culture.
Para ello, el mediador moderno no solo necesita habilidades prácticas, sino también una sólida base académica que permita intervenir directamente de una manera estratégica, ética y efectiva.
For this reason, the modern mediator needs not only practical skills but also a solid academic formation to enable them to intervene in strategic, ethic, and effective conflicts.
En este sentido, las herramientas académicas estratégicas constituyen directamente un soporte metodológico que permite a los mediadores y diplomáticos intervenir de una manera técnica, ética y eficaz.
In this sense, strategic academic tools provide the methodological and epistemological framework that allows mediators and diplomats to intervene in the technical, ethical, and effective manner.
La siguiente. ¿Qué vamos a explorar? Las herramientas académicas estratégicas en mediación. La mediación, ya lo habíamos dicho, como un método alternativo de solución de conflictos, se sustenta en el conjunto de herramientas conceptuales y metodológicas que permite comprender, abordar y transformar las controversias de una manera estructurada.
Strategic academic tools in mediation. Mediation is an alternative mechanism to conflict resolution. It's based on a set of conceptual and methodological tools that enable us to understand, address, and transform disputes in a structured manner.
Tenemos cuatro herramientas que son herramienta académica de mediación, que es el análisis del conflicto, la comunicación afectiva, la negociación basada directamente en intereses y un enfoque restaurativo y una ética profesional. Herramientas estratégicas en diplomacia, que es la diplomacia efectiva para poder blando la inteligencia emocional y construir la confianza.
We have some tools to resolve the conflict. One of them is academic tools in mediation to conflict analysis, effective communication, and interest in negotiation, restorative peace, and professional ethics. The second one is strategic tools in diplomacy. This one is about preventive diplomacy, soft power, emotional intelligence, and trust building.
La siguiente. Tenemos las herramientas digitales en mediación, que son plataformas virtuales de inteligencia artificial, gestión colaborativa y la seguridad de la información. También tenemos la integración estratégica y las conclusiones, que esto está en el enfoque disciplinario, las recomendaciones formativas y la reflexión final sobre la transformación social.
In the same way, we have digital tools in mediation. For example, virtual platforms, artificial intelligence, collaborative management, and information security. Also, we have a strategic integration and conclusions, interdisciplinary approach, training recommendations, and the final reflection is the social transformation it's our achieve.
Siguiente. En primer lugar, es indispensable referirse directamente al análisis del conflicto como una herramienta fundamental.
First of all, it's essential to consider the conflict analysis is a fundamental tool to combat the conflict.
El análisis del conflicto no se limita directamente en la identificación de los hechos, sino en lo que implica directamente la descomposición analítica de sus elementos consultivos. Esto permite la distinción entre las posiciones y los intereses y sobre todo la identificación de actores directos e indirectos. observación directamente de las dinámicas de poder estaría la comprensión del texto sociocultural en el que se desarrolla la controversia.
Conflict analysis is not limited to identify facts or identify persons. Rather, it involves an analytical breakdown into constituent elements. This includes a lot of elements between positions, interest, and also emotions, identifying direct and indirect actors, addressing powers dynamics, and understanding the socio-cultural context in which these conflicts are happening.
Una intervención sin análisis previo inevitable a soluciones superficiales e inestables.
An intervention without analysis inevitably leads to superficial and unsanity solutions.
En segundo lugar, se encuentra directamente la comunicación efectiva, que particularmente es la escucha activa como competencia central del mediador.
Secondly, there's an effective communication, particularly active listening, and is a core competency of the mediator.
La escucha activa transciende directamente en el acto de oír, implica procesar, interpretar, devolver el mensaje de una